Hey everyone, I'm David Brownstein, and today is part 2 of the Profitable Growth series, Managing the Waste Team. My contact information is included on this slide here, so please go ahead and give me a call to schedule a consultation so I know where you're at in your business and where you want to go, so I can help develop a plan for you to get there. We're going to start today with a quick refresher about what we talked about last time, which was how to conduct a waste audit. Then we'll talk about typical wastes in different industries, including manufacturing, service, retail, and professional services. We'll go through the waste team processes and the waste reduction process. We're going to talk about return on investment and what you should be targeting for an ROI and how to get there. Then we'll talk about why profit is so important. And finally, we'll sum it all up and give you a sneak peek at part 3 of the series. We talked about the 8 different wastes last time, which you can remember by the acronym downtime. The D is for defects, O is overproduction, W is waiting, N is for unused talent, T is for transportation, I is for inventory, M is for motion, and E is for extra processing. If you want a little bit more detail on what each of these are, just refer back to part 1 of this series, How to Conduct a Waste Audit. We also talked through the waste audit tool last time. I've put in some numbers for this example. You can see in the first column, we've got our acronym downtime and some examples of wastes in each of the 8 categories. We then estimate the costs of each waste. If you're having trouble estimating, that's okay. You can just put in high, medium, or low for now. Then, just as important, we've got the ease of removal scale on the right side, which is ranked from -5 to +5, where -5 is nearly impossible to fix and +5 is a quick, easy win. As a reminder, I recommend starting off the first time with something that's really easy to make an impact, even if it's not necessarily the highest dollar amount. The reason is part of this process is a behavioral shift in the organization, and if you can see some quick, easy results early on, you'll be more likely to continue. When you apply those 8 wastes across the 4 different industry sectors, you can see there's some overlap, but often quite specific waste in each of those sectors. So take a look here at your particular sector, and if yours isn't listed, we can provide you some data on other sectors as well. But you can see in manufacturing, for example, which is where a lot of my clients are, you've got things such as poor quality, overtime, WIP, poor training, freight, raw materials, travel, or just the wrong tool or wrong person for the job. We also showed you last time a process for managing the team, and the first step was how to conduct a waste audit. Then we prioritize where we use the waste audit tool and the Pareto principle. We talked a little bit about teams and the 8-week team cycle. Then we talked about measuring performance and having some specific measurable KPIs to measure performance. What we didn't talk about last time was the specifics of the project team, so we're going to talk a little bit about that here. So let's talk about the team process a little bit here. So step 1 is the how. How do we determine the team selection? How do we figure out the team leader? And more importantly, how do we support the team leader? Quite often what I've done is I've picked the team leader, and the reasons for picking them could be future leaders of the organization or passion for the topic that we're trying to resolve, which I personally think is most important because you want people who are passionate about this topic because you'll get the most out of them. But then I often ask them who they would like to have on their team to help. And the team size is only about 5 or 6 people, and it's only for 8 weeks, as you know. So we need to have the right team leader with all the right resources in that team that we need. But then we also need to be able to support that leader through training and other mechanisms. The what, we need to make sure the purpose of the project is clearly communicated. Otherwise, people will go off track. We need to understand who the project sponsor is, so someone senior in the organization that can remove any barriers that the team experiences. The project sponsor is also someone who, around week 7, we suggest reviews the work being done to make sure the recommendations that the team comes up with will be supported by the organization. So we test that at week 7. People always ask, how much time should we spend? You should only expect an hour a week. People are busy, and if you ask for any more than that, people will think they can't fit it in. If they get passionate and excited about it, they'll find more time, but leave that to them. The why is important to keep people motivated because people need to understand what's in it for me, or WIIFM. Some of the obvious things could be increased awareness. People feel like their input into the organization is being taken seriously and that they're helping in the direction that the organization is going. Maybe you can even tie a direct link to success in the waste reduction team and compensation. If you save the organization $100,000 with your work, the organization should be willing to share a little bit of that savings with you for your extra efforts. Then, when you do the final presentation to the rest of the organization, you need to make a big deal out of it. That's why the project sponsor needs to see the presentation before it's actually presented. You then make it clear that this was a good exercise for both the people who participated and for the organization, and that we would be looking for volunteers to do further project teams. Okay, return on investment. What does it mean? You should be able to get a return on investment of 5 to 1. What that means is for every dollar you spend on this process, you should save at least 5. And I can tell you, if you and your team takes this process seriously, you can achieve an ROI of much higher than 5 to 1, particularly when you've developed some skills as an organization with this process. But you've got to work your way up to that. You don't start off being an expert. So again, going back to starting with quick, easy wins to stay motivated and develop some skills initially. Keep in mind here that the goal is to change the process, so this is not a one-off hit. This is a recurring annual savings if done properly. So imagine if you can change even 5 processes in your organization over the course of a year, what a difference that can make. Keep in mind also there's a lot of soft benefits here. One of the byproducts of this waste reduction process is it can actually help attract and retain good people. In this era of record low unemployment, attracting and retaining the right people for the right spots in the organization is worth a lot of money. Particularly for the younger generation of employees, one of the key things all the data says appeals to them is they want to feel like their work matters. So if your important people are having their voices heard and they feel like their work is making an impact on the organization and they understand what's in it for them when they do it well, it's going to do wonders for the employee retention and morale. The hard thing is, how do you measure these soft benefits? But you need to at least attempt to do that. The ROI helps fund and to justify future waste teams. So it's really important that you measure the ROI so you can figure out what's working, what's not working, and improve your processes as you go forward. Remember, what you measure is what you get, so we need to measure the ROI, otherwise it becomes harder to achieve a good result. And as I mentioned earlier, the learning experience through this process is part of the glue that attracts and retains good people, and that can be employees or customers. So why is profit so important? And you're probably thinking, well, that's pretty obvious. But let me just explain some reasons why I think it's important. Number 1 is it's a measure of efficiency. The more efficient we are, the more profit we make. It's also a measure of value because the more valuable we are, the more profit we make. Profit generates cash, which is the lifeblood of any organization, and it generates working capital, so you don't have to rely on external funding. You can and should generate your own funding and not rely on anybody else. Profit creates dividends for shareholders and also for other stakeholders like employees. If there's a lot of profit, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for employees to move up in the organization. Which brings me to my next point, which is that profit attracts investment and creates growth. And growth, again, creates new and exciting opportunities for all those involved. And the part that I like most is that profit is almost like having a suit of armor. It's what protects you in this increasingly more challenging business environment we're in today. And profit is the main reason any organization exists. Even not-for-profit organizations need to control waste, often even more so than for-profit organizations, because they often operate on such tight liquidity. So make sure you measure that in a profit in a variety of ways, including by department, product, service, or even by person. Also, you should measure profit by customer. So in summary, to increase profit efficiently and effectively, we need to eliminate waste. To eliminate waste, we need to first conduct a waste audit, as we covered in our last video. We need to form waste reduction teams to continuously remove waste and increase profitability on an ongoing basis. Aim for an ROI of at least 5-to-1 on your waste reduction investment. Your prize for that investment will be increased profit and growth, which creates all the benefits I just covered. And up next in the series, now that we've conducted a waste audit and selected a team and know how to manage that team, we're going to talk about coaching and developing your people. I hope you can join me. I'm really passionate about helping you and your organization generate more profit, so if I can be of help on any of these matters, please give me a call. I've included my contact information again on this slide. Thanks for listening.